As you know, they've taken away my constitutional right, so I'm not allowed to answer that question. He's taken away my constitutional right to speak. This is a ridiculous situation. Not fair, but we will fight. Thank you.
He is not allowed to say anything to defend himself, even when it's 100% absolute truth. Here's the PJ Media write-up today from the Town Hall Media Empire. Yeah, Judge Merchant finds Trump again, but this time threatened him with jail time. Why? Well, because he used his First Amendment rights and actually spoke the truth. No. Literally, he is being fined for speaking the truth, or I guess in this case, for asking a question based on the truth. The date was April 22nd. And as he emerged from the courthouse at 12:48 Eastern time, Donald Trump said this.
Now, when are they going to look at Pomerantz or what Pomerantz did? Because that's bad stuff. And when are they going to look at all the lies that Cohen did in the last trial? He got caught lying in the last trial. So he got caught lying, pure lying. And when are they going to look at that? Now,
all right, so that was about Michael Cohen, who is the star witness for the prosecution, and he's asking the question, when are they going to look at the lies he told in the last trial? He got caught pure lying. And, well, that's just an objective truth. It's a fact. It's like saying the sky is blue or the planet is round, for those of you who still believe the planet is round. That's what he's doing there, because it is a fact that Michael Cohen got caught lying in his last trial. In fact, Michael Cohen served jail time for committing perjury. But Donald Trump's not allowed to say that. Of course, Michael Cohen can go on TikTok and say whatever he wants to about Donald Trump. Michael Cohen is actually making money, it's alleged, by being a star TikTok influencer right now because everybody loves him because he's going to get the bad orange man. And so he can do whatever he wants. He can say whatever he wants. But the accused, the man who the state is using all of its resources and all of its money to try to imprison, he is not allowed to say anything to defend himself, even when it's 100% absolute truth, as you just saw. And even worse, if he continues to go out and say the truth and speak his opinion based on fact, the judge threatened to throw him in jail. The former president of the United States and the man who is now the presumptive nominee for president against Joe Biden, a Democrat who shares a political party with the prosecutor, with all of the attorneys in the case, and with the judge himself, and whose daughter is out raising millions and millions of dollars for Democrats for the political process, while her father sits on the case threatening to put the Republican candidate in jail. And this is in the United States of America. I mean, say what you about. I understand that Donald Trump inspires a lot of emotions from a lot of people. Even those who are going to vote for him are like, gosh, he wouldn't do that. I wish he wouldn't do that. I wish he wouldn't say that. I wish he wouldn't tweet that. That's fine. Okay, we can't all be Mitt Romney. But even the most diehard Trump hater has to pause for a moment and wonder about what's going on in the United States of America when the president of the United States shares a political party with the prosecutor and attorneys who are using the power of state in America's largest and wealthiest city, Manhattan, New York City, to prosecute the current Republican nominee for president. And the judge and his daughter gets wealthy on raising money for Democrats, and the judge is using his power, not through a jury trial, his own singular executive power as judge, to fine and threaten the president of the United States, the candidate, with imprisonment for speaking his mind, for utilizing his First Amendment rights. Because even when you're, facing criminal charges, you still have rights. You still have First Amendment rights, certainly. So Donald Trump, after this latest fine, he spoke his mind again, but I'm guessing it was a little more carefully.
As to that first question, as you know, they've taken away my constitutional rights, so I'm not allowed to answer that question. This has never happened in this country before. It's a ridiculous thing. It's a ridiculous case. I did nothing wrong, absolutely nothing wrong. Take a look at Greg Jarrett this morning. He went on. Take a look at Andrew McCarthy or Jonathan Turley or Mark Levin. It's like they say there's no case here. And yet the judges gagged me, and I'm not allowed to talk about, I guess, his total conflict. The judge is totally conflicted, and you ought to take a look at it. And I'm not supposed to be talking about it, but I am allowed to say that the judge has a conflict that like nobody's ever had before. You ought to take a look at it. He's taken away my constitutional right to speak. I was in Miami this weekend, and reporters are asking me questions, the same questions like you're asking me, and I have to say I have a gag order. I can't speak about it.
Yeah, by the way, that's exactly why the reporters are asking him those questions, because they want to be the ones who got him. Yeah, he answered my question, and that's what got him in jail. That's what's going on here, by the way, with a lot of these reporters. And hopefully, thankfully, so far, Trump is being disciplined on that and not taking the bait. He is allowed to say certain parameters, and clearly the judges have given him certain parameters on what he can say and what he shouldn't say. But see, again, this is all part of it as well. They want him to be sequestered. The Democrats, they don't want him out there. They don't want him speaking his mind. They don't want him saying anything. They don't even want him to campaign. That's the whole reason for this trial. It sort of levels the playing field, considering his opponent, the president of the United States, is mentally and physically incapable of campaigning. So that's part of the problem here. But all these reporters shouting questions at him, they want to get him in trouble. They want to be the ones who finally nailed him and got him behind bars. You heard Donald Trump just say, look at Jonathan Turley, look at Andrew McCarthy. Well, okay, let's do that. Here was Jonathan Turley about a week ago.
I agree with that. You can have a gag order that limits what you can say about aspects of the trial, but to have it extend to someone like Michael Cohen is just facially ridiculous. I mean, the thing is, you've got Cohen going on the air every night, not just opposing the president in this trial, but opposing him in the campaign. According to this order, even after he testifies, the president cannot respond to him. So all these networks constantly have him on, and somehow he's in this bubble. He cannot be addressed by the candidate for the presidency. So that's the type of thing where I'm critical of this judge, the failure to recognize the inequity in that arrangement.
Yeah, incredibly inequitable. By the way, if you go over to MSNBC, you'll get a legal analyst who will say that Trump is being treated with kid gloves, that he's getting rights and special privileges that no other person on the planet would get. It's like bizarro world over there. This is the problem with legal analysis, is that even legal analysis has been turned into political analysis with a law degree, right? But that's Jonathan Turley just on the gag order. He also over the weekend said, I've been watching this trial now for, what is it, day 6, day 7. One thing that the prosecutors haven't brought up that they might want to think about bringing up, and that is what the actual crime is. The whole show me the man, I'll find you the crime thing from the Stalin era. That's what we're watching right now. But these prosecutors haven't even gone so far as to find a crime. Let's go back to the president earlier today, as he had more to say.
Never happened before, ever. Number one. Number two, it's a fake trial. They have no case. And it's been absolutely proven now. They have no case whatsoever. This is Alvin Bragg doing it for political reasons for Biden. This is a Biden trial. He's a crooked president. Now, it just came out, Columbia just canceled their commencement. Axios. Columbia just canceled their commencement. That shouldn't happen.
This is when he goes through the daily news. And actually, I think we've got that clip a little later in the program, too, as he talks about the protests and the financing for those protests. So we'll hold that clip for a little bit later as well. Meanwhile, I just want to address one other thing that you may hear. I've mentioned it before, but I want to reiterate it. As you watch news coverage of this trial, if they say that Trump is, let's give you the latest on Trump's hush money trial in New York, that you're looking at a biased journalist, either lazy or just an outright political hack liar. All right. Hush money trial. Associated Press is now using this. So other news outlets, they all follow the Associated Press's so-called style book. And if the Associated Press uses the term hush money, then that gives cover to journalists all over the place, broadcast journalists. Why are you calling it a hush money trial? Well, because the AP does it. It's this weird thing in journalism. The AP style book, it has all of this power, all of this weight. I see even Fox News does it. Although I want to tell you, this week, just this morning, I noticed that they're not using hush money anymore. They're calling this trial either New York versus Donald Trump, or if you really want to be factual about it, you can call this a falsifying financial records trial. That's what it is. I actually engaged in a debate with a journalist about this. It wasn't on social media and it wasn't on the record. So I'm not going to say the journalist's name, but I confronted them in person. And I said, why do you keep calling this a hush money trial? And he said, oh, well, that's just, what we call it. And I said, no, but it's not a hush money trial. You know that this trial is not a trial for illegally paying hush money, right? Well, yeah, technically. I said, oh, no, not technically. It's just the truth. There's no technical truths here or not. There was a payment made to an actress who goes by the name of Stormy Daniels. The payment went along with a non-disclosure act. You can call that hush money if you'd like, but have you ever taken a payment for a non-disclosure act, or have you ever had a non-disclosure agreement built into your contract in exchange for your salary? Because if that's the case, you took hush money, right? If a non-disclosure agreement is part of your contract with the network you work for, and that contract, you're signing it, allows you to get paid your salary, then you got hush money. Oh, well, I guess when you put it that way, no, that's the fact. So it's not hush money, it's payments for a non-disclosure agreement. Now, can you show me in the indictment what part of the indictment, the criminal charges against Donald Trump, there's 34 of them, so I'm sure you can find it, which one of the charges shows that payment for the non-disclosure agreement is illegal? What crime was broken by paying the money with the non-disclosure agreement? Short answer, there are no crimes. There is nothing illegal about the payment, what they're calling hush money. So to call this a hush money trial is factually inaccurate. The charges, as bogus as they are, is that he falsified his financial records by calling the payment for the non-disclosure agreement legal fees. Although technically it was a legal fee because he paid his lawyer a lump sum of money, and out of that money, his lawyer paid the non-disclosure agreement fee, you see. So it's not falsifying records, but Alvin Bragg, the DA here, you don't hear this explanation anywhere on cable news, do you? But I'm giving it to you because they are not in the business of telling you the truth or giving you facts or making you smarter. They're in the business of propaganda. Alvin Bragg has now twisted this misdemeanor about falsifying bank records. I mean, falsifying a financial record, why is that 34 counts of felony facing 20 years in jail? It's not. But Alvin Bragg has now said that the reason he falsified those records was to commit campaign fraud so that it wouldn't show up in the campaign financials that it was hush money or a non-disclosure agreement. So that rises it up to the level of felony. Here's the problem. Campaign finance laws are not the jurisdiction of the Manhattan District Attorney. So even if that ridiculous and completely, I'm tripped out on mushrooms and acid to connect those dots and make that allegation that this is campaign finance violation, even if you were to go down that road, it's not the DA in Manhattan's job to enforce those laws. It's the Justice Department under the federal government's responsibility. And they already looked at it and said there's no crime there. So by that entire explanation to figure out what's being charged here, if you really want to be accurate, you would call this a falsifying financial records case, not a hush money case. And this media person that I spoke to about it, after going through all of this, and they conceded, well, yeah, I mean, I guess the accurate way to do it would not be to call it hush money, but it's just shorthand. We just use it as shorthand. And I said, well, hush money trial, I mean, that's 3 syllables. How about just murder trial? That's just as short. Just call it murder. It's a murder trial. Here's the latest on Trump's murder trial. And he's like, well, that's stupid. He's not being charged with murder. I say he's also not being charged with hush money. And the person finally conceded. He said, you're right. We shouldn't call it a hush money trial, which they shouldn't, but they will. They will because they want to associate hush money porn star with Donald Trump. And that's really what this is about. So all the legal analysts who look at this and pore over it and dissect it from a legal perspective, really it doesn't matter because it's not really about the law. It's about politics. This is a political operation to serve the Democratic Party and their candidate, Joe Biden. That's what it is. So back to Andy McCarthy. Donald Trump said, look at Jonathan Turley, look at Andy McCarthy. Here's Andy McCarthy this morning.
We're looking at how the emotion of the witness may sway the jury one way or the other, how like one after another of these people who come in say uncomplimentary things about Cohen. The prosecutors have already basically told the jury that Cohen's a liar and he's not a very reputable person, and they think they can win the case on the documents. The most important thing here is the judge's impact on the jury, and that's what I'm more concerned about than the witnesses. I mean, the fact of the matter is these non-disclosure agreements are completely legal, and Bragg has no legal authority to turn them into campaign finance violations, which they're not. But the judge is letting him do it. So unlike, our viewers here who get me or Kerry Kupek or John Turley or someone to come on every hour and explain how bad this is, what the jury's getting is what the judge is letting the prosecutors get away with. And I'm more worried about what the jury thinks than, just the emotional sways of the trial from witness to witness.
And once again, if Donald Trump said all of that, he'd be put in jail. If Donald Trump said everything I just said about this trial and about the charges, he'd be put in jail. He's not allowed to use his First Amendment right to defend himself in the court of public opinion when he is a public figure, a politician, a man running for president. Everything about this is just a grotesque and complete warped idea of criminal justice in this country. It's been politicized beyond repair, I fear, when it's being used against a presidential candidate. We don't do this. America does not do this. But Donald Trump has so broken the Democrats. They are so terrified that they will go to this length. Oh, and one other thing that Donald Trump can't tell you about that I think deserves some attention. Matthew Colangelo, we've talked about this guy before. This is a guy who was the deputy U.S. attorney. He was the number 3 man at the Justice Department. Pretty good job, man. That is high profile. That is prestigious. That's a major deal. He quit that job. That's why he was working for Merrick Garland and Joe Biden. He was a political appointee. So he was brought in during the Biden administration, right? And he quit that job. He quit that job to go work as a low-level prosecutor in the Manhattan District Attorney's Office. Why would he do that? Well, because he became the lead prosecutor on the Donald Trump case. He left Merrick Garland's Justice Department and took all of his knowledge and connections and power and gravitas and connections to the White House, and he brought all of that to the Manhattan DA's office. And within months, suddenly, there was an indictment of Donald Trump. Oh, but there's nothing political about this. It's just the law, right? So that's Matthew Colangelo. According to Forbes, the prosecutor delivers opening arguments in the Trump hush money trial, right? And they have a little profile of him. Who else is Matthew Colangelo? Well, he received corporate money from the DNC, from the Democratic National Committee. These are FEC receipts showing that he is on the payroll or has been on the payroll of the Democratic National Committee. Mike Berg, who is a communications director for the National Republican Senate Committee, thinks this should probably be a bigger story than it is, and he's right. The lead prosecutor prosecuting Donald Trump, a former president and current presidential candidate, where no one who has those titles has ever faced criminal charges before. The lead prosecutor in the case left a Biden-appointed job in the Justice Department to come and work for the Manhattan DA, which is a pay downgrade and a title downgrade and an influence downgrade. It is a demotion. If you were fired from the Justice Department, you'd be lucky to get a job at the Manhattan DA's office. He voluntarily left. Or he was told to leave so he could take up this case. So Joe Biden was, had enough distance from the whole operation. The man who left the Justice Department to go work for the Manhattan District Attorneys to prosecute the case against Donald Trump, the current candidate for president, something that's never been done in the history of our country, was literally on the payroll of the Democratic National Committee. But, this is just about law and order. It's just about justice. No one is above the law, remember? That's what this is really about. And add to that, if Donald Trump just told you anything that I just told you, which is all documented fact, he'd be put in jail. That's how terrified they are of you, not of Trump. They're terrified of you for daring to vote for him.